I've often gotten a lot of questions about Matthew Perry specifically because he's probably the most recent celebrity who passed away and the biggest one. And I was always appreciated Matthew Perry because he spent so much of his time really trying to expose the disease and to educate people on what he was going through and to make people understand that it's a mental health disease. I know he went through so many detoxes and he tried over and over and over again. But celebrities specifically have a little bit layer that's a little bit more difficult than the rest of us quite often because they're surrounded by sycophants a lot of the times. They have a lot of yes men, they have a lot of people who are very parasitical around them. And I think Matthew Perry really fell victim to that as much as I think Michael Jackson did, I think Elvis Presley did, and I think a lot of other celebrities become targets because people know that they have an issue and here's some free medication, you know, you'll pay for it in future, you'll do me favors, and they get in the door that way. You're surrounded by people who are parasitical on your weakness, and it's really a shame. But I also want to talk about how these types of things relate to the rest of us as well. But before that, I also want to answer this question, which was, very interesting on Matthew Perry. Do you agree with Matthew Perry, who said that alcoholism is a progressive disease? Absolutely, it's a progressive disease. It will get worse, and your tolerance levels go up, and really, the culture of your life will change. It will all eventually wrap around alcohol, how to get it, how to consume it, how to recover from it, and then your focus becomes getting it and living with it, unfortunately. So yes, it is progressive. There's 4 very distinct stages, and they get progressively worse and worse and worse until you ultimately succumb to it, or succumb to falling down, hitting your head, falling downstairs like my wife did, or getting in an accident. Or, the alcohol itself may not kill you, but because of the stress on your body, you might have a heart attack, a stroke, cancer. In fact, just recently, the Surgeon General just came out and said what I've been saying all year long is that we need to put labels on bottles, warning labels that this causes cancer, this causes all kinds of things. Alcoholic dementia, it's not just your liver, it's your kidneys, your heart, your pancreas. It's going to wreck your life. It's going to destroy your life. We need to have bigger warning signs on alcohol labels. That's a whole nother issue. But to get back to Matthew Perry, I always appreciated him because he did dedicate a lot of his life to educating people, and he had a memoir that came out the year before he passed away in 2022 and 2023, and it's sad. It's sad because you're around people who are just feeding you drugs, and they're not there in your best interest. They're there to make money off you. They're not friends. And they're killing you even though they may think they're doing themselves a favor and the person a favor by supplying them drugs. So how does this relate to families? Well, how many families, family culture really creates problems with someone? Oh, he doesn't have a problem. Let's just let him drink. He doesn't have an issue. So he has a 12-pack a night. That's no big deal. I've had 10, 12 beers a night my whole life. It's no big deal. So if my son does, what's the big deal? It's all part of just, dealing with life, and life is hard. So, he works hard, so he should deserve to be able to drink. No big deal. And this kind of thinking will destroy one's health, mental, physical health, their relationships, and eventually productivity. And when I hear things like functioning alcoholic, I always want to laugh because it's the most ridiculous title of all. There's no such thing as functioning alcoholic. It's just someone is in denial so they can pay their bills and they can keep a job. This week, no big deal. Yeah, it is a big deal because eventually it's going to take their life and it's going to take everything, and they're going to lose everything that they worked for anyways. And if you think otherwise, then you don't understand the nature and the progressive nature of alcohol use disorder. And this is one of the reasons why the Matthew Perry incident is so sad. His death is really sad because if he had been in a community of people who were trying to recover and people who were in his corner, and if he had had true friends and people who could mentor him and help him along this path, this journey, instead of these doctors that were feeding them drugs. I mean, it's really horrible. It's a horrible situation. And at the same time, this is what family culture turns into. The person who eventually dies from alcohol use disorder, it's not just their fault. They live in a family culture where it's recognized, where it's normalized to drink, and you're weird if you don't drink. And if you don't get out of that culture and don't realize that that is actually not normal, and that's not a lifestyle that anybody should be going down, that's a tough road. Tough road to be able to break away from that. And that's why I'm so big on invention. If you do realize you have a problem, and maybe your problem is the environment that you're around, you're not a tree. Get in your car, go live somewhere else, go move, because your life is worth that. And I hope the message from Matthew Perry comes through with his life, and unfortunately his failure with his life. But very much like Matthew Perry and then my wife, it's important to talk about these failures so that the rest of us can learn. We learn from them, we learn what not to do and what to change because of their mistakes, or what surrounded them and the culture that surrounded them. And so much of that is in my wife's memoir, which is called Amanda, A Cautionary Tale of Alcoholism. And again, it's the story of my wife's 25 year decline with alcoholism, and ultimately passed almost 5 years ago now in February. And again, I want to say I go live again Monday through Friday starting next week. Right around 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We have the Facebook group called There's an Alcoholic in the Family. Join that. It's a great group for support. And when you're ready to work with me one-on-one, click on the link above in the link tree, set up a breakthrough call. It takes about 45 minutes to an hour. I'm looking for people who want to change their lives and the lives of their family. It's not a call just to get free information. I want to have the alcoholic and members of their family available, if at all possible. But definitely the primary person has to be on the call. The call is free. The course is definitely not, but I've changed a lot of people's lives. And again, thanks so much for listening.